Welcome, listeners, to PHLDiversity Podcast Season 3. This is Greg DeShields, Executive Director of PHLDiversity. Thank you for joining us today. We are speaking with Jonathan Lovitz, who is the Senior Vice President, National LGBT Chamber of Commerce and Director of New York Office and Network of NGLCC. The National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce was founded as a national business advocacy organization of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered community, focused on procurement opportunities, including certification and facilitating corporate relations, stewards, and best practices. Programming is geared towards helping members start or grow their business, general membership benefits, including business and service discounts, group purchasing power, professional development opportunities, publication, advocacy, and information exchange, and workplace diversity and opportunity. Jonathan, who is our guest today, and I have to say we're thrilled to have him, is a regular commentator on MSNBC, CNBC, NPR, The Advocate, Out Magazine, amongst others, and has often spoken fundraise for Broadway charity, equity, fight organizations, and Trevor Project, as well as the Democratic Party and many more. He previously served as a Director of Communications and Operations for Start Out, a national nonprofit empowering LGBT entrepreneur program. Prior to his work in advocacy, Lovitz was a respected actor, which is amazing. We're looking forward to hearing more about that, as well as a news anchor for Logo, which I did watch TV and other major networks. And in 2018, Lovitz was recognized by Business Equality magazine as one of its 40 LGBTQ leaders under 40. He has also been named an outstanding young alumni by the University of Florida in April of 2018. So Jonathan, it is our extreme pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I should do a quick shout out to the folks at iHeartMedia. Once again, they are hosting us for this podcast. They always do an incredible job. And Lorraine Valerie, thank you so much for your hospitality. And we look forward to maybe coming back again, hearing more from, if not Jonathan, some of our other VIP talking people in our world. So before, Jonathan, we get into discussions about NGLCC, tell us about yourself.
Sure. Well, it's so great to be here, and I'm just so glad to be a part of this PHLDiversity conversation. You guys have done so much work to drive the conversation about why investing in diversity matters and why it's such a critical part to our cities and our communities' growth. So thanks for all you're doing. And as a new Philly resident, I really couldn't be happier to be here.
Welcome to Philadelphia.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful new town. We're thrilled to be a part of it. So I, as you read in my bio, I'm come from a long line of performing and speaking publicly, and I'm very fortunate to get to speak at a lot of colleges and universities to young people, and they always ask about that what they think is that linear path from A to Z in your career, and then I show them what it really looks like, and if it's not curved and looping around 50 times, then you're doing something wrong.
That's true.
So my path took me from the Broadway stage to television to speaking publicly about LGBT issues, and along the way I got picked up by this fantastic organization, the NGLCC, and thrilled to be serving in ways that advance their corporate relations and public affairs and government policy, and now also working to bring our conference here to Philadelphia.
Which we are very excited about. Thank you.
Yeah, we're thrilled about it. So things are really wonderful. I'm truly fortunate to get to do this work. And I joke a lot. We certainly know a lot of folks who get to do diversity and inclusion work as part of their daytime occupation, but I'm fortunate that my day job and my gay job are the same thing. So it's really special, and I get to make a full-time living supporting working for the community and doing my favorite thing, which is not shutting up about it and getting to talk to any microphone or TV camera that will let us advance these issues.
Well, it's real interesting, and as I kind of read through your bio and have gotten to know you as a professional, I think you serve as a great role model. And in a city that has so many academic institutions, and certainly as I think of a number of them with very active career development offices, the question would be about your career path. If there's a young professional or a young student who's looking at where do I aspire in my career, and they see you and they're like, I want his job. And I know you said it's not a direct line, but think about what you've done from a career path. Is there a recommendation that you would give to an aspiring young professional who has aspirations?
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. I tell young people, particularly college students, learn everything outside what you already know. I studied musical theater at the University of Florida. Go Gators! But you better believe I couldn't do my job now as a spokesperson and advocate had I not had years of learning how to improvise and walk in front of a crowd and make them believe what I needed them to believe for 2 hours of stage time. Now I do that and I ask them to believe what I'm saying and take it with them and go into the streets and fight for something.
Wow.
So, but because of that, because I went to such a great university, I was able to study politics and philosophy and art and finance and things that, really I did not think were important to my life, but they were requirements. And you know what? They ended up being really beneficial to me now because a well-rounded person who can understand everybody else's point of view can better fight for everybody else.
Wow.
So be open to everything. Learn all the things that are outside your purview, because that's what's going to help you be the most impactful. And really, the people who are the most successful, and whether it's business or politics, are those who can adapt and change to any room you're in. You've got to be able to connect with people on a deeply personal level. And so knowing so much more about them than you might think necessary is a key to success.
Well, I think for a lot of the students who are in Philadelphia, the fortunate aspect of pursuing their education here is it's really, as they say, a learning laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you're suggesting in terms of try everything, we have a lot of everything that they can try. And I think it's a perfect segue to get a little bit more insight about what your role is as the Senior Vice President of the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And I'd also be curious to learn more about the work that you do with New York.
Sure. So the NGLCC is such a broad organization, but we serve so many types of constituents, but all on one common theme: creating the most economic opportunity possible for the LGBT community. And our primary function is to certify LGBT-owned businesses, which I think we'll talk a little bit about. But additionally, we're a public advocacy force. We're a mentorship and business resource force. We are a network of affiliates all over the country helping build local relationships for business owners. And I'm really fortunate that this job allows me to put my skills forward as both a spokesperson and media relations person, but also in the field working with our partner organizations to connect those dots, making that business case for diversity and inclusion, working with corporations large and small through their employee resource groups, through their supplier diversity programs, through their senior leadership, making sure that we never retreat from the commitments to D&I that they've set forth, especially as socioeconomics and politics continue to be a little precarious right now, making sure that nobody backs off from those commitments. And in fact, we've only seen them get stronger. So I get to wear a lot of hats, and one of them, as you mentioned, is helping oversee our New York chamber, which is the only one of the nearly 50 around the country that NGLCC owns and operates outright.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so New
that's
York
great.
is both a local chamber and a regional office because there's so much business happening around there. So we also oversee the connections to great regional opportunities with local business owners, and even some of the regional affiliate chambers like the IBA, the Independent Business Alliance right here in Philadelphia. We do a lot of collaboration bringing all the Northeast business owners and opportunities together because more is more, and we're thrilled to see when communities can collaborate.
Wow, that's a great unknown fact about New York. So I'm glad you kind of shared
Absolutely.
it. So you've given us some insight, and once again, at a high level, I'd like to talk a little bit deeper about NGLCC, but I'd really like to start with the name change because
Sure.
I think that's a big thing that we have all been adapting to.
So we were the artist formerly known as the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and we were founded in 2002. That was pretty industry standard. You look
Right.
at the task force, you look at several other major organizations that started off as gay and lesbian because that was what was in the conversation at the time. Thankfully, our mission was always to serve the entire spectrum, LGBTQIA, et cetera. And now we've been able to make sure our name fully encompasses the LGBT community, which we certify all four segments of that: lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender on the international sphere through our NGLCC Global program, which is now operating in almost 15 countries. We also include intersex because that is UN parlance, and part of the international conversation is about that intersectional intersex identity. And we're rapidly evolving to include Q in as much conversation as well, because it is a broad spectrum.
Right.
At the moment, we certify a company as being lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender owned if it's 51% or more of that ownership. But we also know the issues that we fight for on a broader inclusiveness conversation include everyone. So everyone is welcome under our broad tent, and we're thrilled that our name as the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce represents that.
Well, I'm sure we're going to say that so often in Philadelphia that it'll roll out quite naturally. So I also want to point out, you did change your logo.
We did. It's this beautiful, colorful leaf. It was what it looks like. You'll see there's different colors within that, and while certainly a nod to the rainbow of the LGBT community, it's also indicative of each color representing a constituency that we represent. America's LGBT business owners, our corporate partners, government partners, our global work, everyone's represented in that. And you'll see at the conference here in Philadelphia that each color is going to play a role into the visual elements of that. Each segment. Yeah.
Wow. I'm excited about that. I'm glad we were able to kind of help our audience understand that as they work their way to get more information about it. But, because you are an organization that really speaks to the commerce within the LGBT community and that business voice that really helps tell the story about the community, what is a key strategy that you would say that the organization pursues in order to advance the opportunities for LGBT business owners?
For us, it is all about visibility. Mm-hmm. You can't. Economic visibility is just as essential as social visibility in advancing the community's agenda. And just look at some of the major advancements since marriage equality, through fighting back against some of these religious freedom and bathroom bills. Who's led the fight? Business, large and small, throwing our economic weight around. And one of the most important things that's come out of the NGLCC in recent years is the first ever America's LGBT economy report. Prior to its existence, the only thing we knew about our economy was what we put into it as consumers. Right. And that's pretty staggering. I mean, LGBT people spend upwards of $917 billion every year. It's why every major brand on a consumer level certainly goes rainbow every June. We see it everywhere, and we're very grateful for that authentic marketing and inclusiveness. But a step further is to talk about what we can contribute to the economy as job creators, as economic forces with which to be reckoned. And our report used the data that comes into us when we certify these companies on their tax returns. We know their annual revenue. We know the employee numbers. We know the places where they operate. And we're able to paint a more clear picture of what the economy of the United States looks like. And I'm glad we're sitting down for this, because the number's pretty staggering. If you calculate using our formula what America's 1.4 million LGBT business owners put into the economy, it's $1.7 trillion in GDP impact. To put that in perspective, if all LGBT business owners in America were our own country, the weather would be fabulous and all the drinks would be calorie-free. But more importantly, we'd be the 10th wealthiest economy in the country. Wow. Or in the world, excuse me. We'd be we'd be a stronger economy than Canada, than South Korea, to our new friends in Russia. We'd be one hell of an economic powerhouse. Yeah. And now we're able to throw that weight around. And even more importantly, and I think as Philadelphia really celebrates, that intersectionality matters. LGBT people are part of every community. Absolutely. We permeate every other diverse community out there. So when you couple the LGBT economic impact with African American communities, with Hispanic communities, with others that are part of this group that we've helped create, the National Business Inclusion Consortium, we're looking upwards of $9 trillion in power. And we need to use that to assert our rights. I mean, just look at right now, we're coming up on the 2020 census, and we've learned that for sure LGBT people will not be counted. Well, you might try to erase us from the census, but you certainly can't erase us from the economy. Look at what we're doing. I mean, just at the time we put out that report, just about 900 certified businesses created 33,000 jobs. And each one of those jobs is a voter.
And I will also say that there's probably a lot of hospitality and tourism jobs that are within the scope of that as well.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that we're particularly excited about this conference being in Philly is, we haven't been in a city in almost 10 years since we were in Chicago. And the ability to really advocate for spending money wisely. making sure that people talk about the pink dollar.
Right.
Well, making sure that that pink dollar is flashed to every business in town that says we're open for business with you. That business case for inclusion has certainly been clear to the Fortune 500 for decades. Now it's a great moment for the local businesses in Philadelphia, in the neighborhood and beyond, to say, we see you, we welcome you, we celebrate you, and we want you to take that message out with us.
Absolutely.
As you leave Philadelphia, talk about this place as a place that welcomes you, as that is a home for future conferences and opportunities. So we're really excited to take that macro mission of visibility and really asserting our economic might,
Right.
and letting people carry that as a torch with them anywhere they go, and saying, if my choice is between company A and company B, and company A has really walked the walk and they invest in the community, they buy from our suppliers, they stand with us at Pride, they really put it out there, versus company B that just says, we'd love to see you.
Right.
Where do you think we're going to spend?
I think what you've really emphasized, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was so glad you were here, is to put it in an economic discussion.
Sure.
And really speak to the impact of business, and to realize that there's a ripple effect of it. As you think of however anyone spends their money, it helps to ensure that other person is able to pay taxes, and that person can purchase a home and pay mortgage. And I think that as I've heard more and more, economic diversity is what helps to ensure that cities like Philadelphia are very successful, and that when you're able to help to articulate the financial impact of communities, especially LGBT businesses, the way you've had, I think it just underscores the value of why what we do in diversity and inclusion, and why a conference like NGLCC coming to Philadelphia just sends a very unique and a very clear message. I wanted to kind of shift to something else, which I know is very near and dear to the heart of your organization, and that's around the LGBT-owned business enterprise certification.
Sure.
So why is it important, and how do they do it? And if you could just share some insights for our listeners of how it fits into the world of business certifications.
Sure. So, as we were just talking about visibility and how that translates to creating more opportunity, being certified helps a company find you. There is a commitment from across the Fortune 500, and now even in city and state governments, including the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that we are going to recognize LGBT businesses as a vital force in the economy, and recognize them with the same opportunities that have been afforded to women, to people of color, to veterans, et cetera, and utilize a certification that is exclusive through the NGLCC to help a company get ahead. It's no secret out there that often the biggest contracts go to the whoever had the relationship the longest. The golfing buddy of the CFO is probably the one that always had that contract for a long time. Well, to make sure that the company's diversity and inclusion values aren't just internal to how they hire and how they advertise, but to really make sure that they reflect the community around them, they've instituted these supplier diversity programs that say, we want our supply chain to represent the vital diversity around this company. So that literally, whether it's LGBT, African American, Hispanic, women-owned companies, make this company happen. The widgets that company needs to buy can be sourced from communities that will then be incredibly loyal and be a part of that narrative that you make this company happen. So any company that's 51% or more LGBT owned has the opportunity to be certified by the NGLCC. And if you look at just who's here in Philadelphia, Comcast is a great example. They're a member of the $1 Billion Roundtable. These are companies that have hit the benchmark of spending $1 billion or more just on purchasing from minority-owned companies. And now LGBT companies are eligible for that. So
let me
there's
ask you a
some big
question.
spend out there.
For some of those who may be more granular and they're thinking of this certification, how much does it cost?
Well, the good news is joining your local affiliate chamber, which here in Philadelphia, that's the Independence Business Alliance, IBA, it's free. Because all business is local, right? While you're waiting for that cycle to come through of a big corporation to offer, the multi-million-dollar 10-year contract, you need to be doing in your local community, working closely with the folks around you to build that base and build those referrals. So we really encourage that local business opportunity building. And there are some phenomenal certified businesses here in Philly that are doing huge national projects, but also are the go-to local print shop or marketing house or even restaurant. And that's something that's important to think about is whether you're a mom and pop shop on Main Street or a major multinational company, like some of our suppliers are, being certified is about your opportunity. It's about your visibility. And also remembering that there are companies out there that do mentorship programs, have business opportunity grants. There are educational programs. There are scholarships to things like the Tuck School of Business that are given out every year that you must be certified to have access to. So even if you're not interested in necessarily being, a supplier to a major national or international company, just having access and being counted again. We're not going to be counted in the census. You should certainly be counted in your local economy and say, I'm here and I'm contributing.
So just another granular question.
Sure.
Once I get that certification, it lasts how long?
They last 2 years. You're up for renewal every 2 years. And you've got local site visitors and business development people here right at the IBA and through our national organization that help you every step of the way. It's an easy process, an entirely online process. We make it, there's a lot of barriers to entry with some of these certification programs in the government world, which has turned a lot of people off. We come from the private sector, and we know that we want people to have ease of entry and get right back to work.
Right. So then probably a very self-serving question. Is there fabulous jewelry that goes with it? Do I get a pin or a necklace?
You get a fabulous pin that says you are NGLCC certified. You get a certificate. You get an icon which you can display proudly on your website. And there are people who will tell you about the doors this has opened for them. And, an important thing to remember, there's no guarantee, right? I mean, this is not, people talk a lot about the pie. This is about getting your piece of the pie. Well, remember, no one's guaranteed a piece of that pie. Right. This helps put that fork in your hand. And now you've got to show up to the fight and say, I'm ready. My skills are here. I've got the qualifications to be just as effective as the incumbent contractor. And I deserve a shot at that. And my me as a diverse business owner, you investing in me is only going to help the community this much more, because whether you're LGBT or any other kind of certified diverse business owner, you are twice to 3 times more likely to utilize diversity in your own supply chain. Absolutely. So if I'm an LGBT-owned company, I know the importance of supporting diversity. I'm going to buy from my own company, from women and other communities. I'm going to hire more African-American and Hispanic workers to be a part of my company, because I know we only succeed when we've got every voice represented. So this certification not only kicks open doors, but it reinforces your personal commitment to working with everybody. And that's why we're so glad to have the support of the U.S. Black Chamber, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber. No one sees this kind of certification or opportunity as competitive. They see it as building more opportunities. We're all holding the hammers and nails to build stronger businesses. And along the way, we can build longer tables and serve more people.
Very cool. Well, I know that the idea of the certification has been a true initiative, and you can see the benefits and the outcomes that bring for those businesses that pursue it even more growth. So I want to move to a discussion about something that we love, and that's conventions. So we know that Philadelphia will host the 2018 NGLCC International Business and Leadership Conference here in August, the 13th through the 16th. And we want to know, why did you choose Philadelphia? I mean, we know it's a great city,
Sure.
but we want to hear from you. Like, what were some of the things that really drove your decision?
I mean, you want to talk about a city that's got it all, that's got diversity, that's got business big and small, that's got a commitment to championing opportunity. Philadelphia really stands out. We're thrilled, as I mentioned, to bring this back to a city where people can make that economic impact. When we were in Fort Lauderdale about 4 years ago, it was estimated that we left behind nearly $4 million in the local economy, because people stayed in the hotels, they ate in the restaurants, They rented the cars, they spent that week getting to know that community. Well, here, I mean, we are steps away from some of the biggest tourist attractions in the country, great restaurants, great businesses. So our people are here to spend.
And I think, to your point, it's really a very walkable location.
Absolutely.
To everything from Chinatown to luxury shopping to arts and culture. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that will be an interesting experience.
The economic impact is going to be vast here. And also, I think the chance to showcase Philadelphia as a world-class host city. we've certainly seen its prestige continue to grow. Just look at the skyline. When as one of our colleagues at NGLCC, Sam McClure, says, when you see cranes in the sky, you see opportunity.
That's true.
And we see nothing but cranes looking out my apartment window here, and that's a wonderful thing. I think people are going to pass through and say, "Wow, this is a place we should bring our conference, bring our business leaders, do a retreat, because there's so much to be had here." And just looking at the great work that PHLDiversity has done in partnership with the IBA locally in celebrating intersectionality and realizing that the heart of the community here, the heart of Philadelphia's economy, is its diversity. We're going to see that on display, and I'm thrilled that we've got the great support of Governor Wolf, of Mayor Kenny, of the various offices like PHLDiversity and Visit Philly here. So this is truly, I think, a revolutionary moment for us. And we're thrilled to see what's going to come out of this conference. But it is the largest LGBT business event in the world. We've got folks coming from 5 continents to this conference. We have our global teams meeting. We have our corporations meeting. We've got our small businesses. We've got Martha Stewart.
I know. I saw that. And that was a great photo, by the way.
We are so thrilled. And she is a terrific ally, but she's also an amazing business story. I mean, you want to talk about someone who's taken their knocks and only continued to build her empire along the way. So we're thrilled to see what universal truths she can share with our audience. And we're known for a few surprises. So if you like Martha, just you wait for a few other guests that are going to show up around that conference.
It's interesting because Philadelphia is very fortunate. We'll have the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce here in August, and then the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce will be here in September. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's been affiliation between the two organizations in the past. So will you probably be here doing some of their opening ceremonies as well?
Sure. As I mentioned, the USHCC is part of our National Business Inclusion Consortium. It is our powerhouse roundtable of diverse certifying business organizations that believe that when we all do better, we all do better.
Right.
So I'm sure you'll see us back here for USHCC. I was very fortunate. My first conference that I experienced here was about 2 years ago when the National LGBT Journalists Association was here. And it was so great watching them take advantage of this city and celebrate, alongside all the other, I know the U.S. Black Journalists Association, Hispanic Journalists, and others were a part of that conversation about why it was so important to be here. So similarly, we're going to be good champions for coming to the city and celebrating diversity here, and look forward to a lot of our sister organizations bringing their conference here as well.
Well, our Director of Commerce, Harold Epp, is thrilled to see all of this commerce discussion happening in Philadelphia. So one other quick question as it relates to the time that you're here in Philadelphia. Is there a particular initiative or something that you as an organization would like to accomplish as a result of the conference?
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is one of 3 states in the country that include certified LGBT businesses in state contracting, and that's opened up billions of dollars in opportunity to a community that never existed before. And the city of Philadelphia does not yet. We're working really actively with the city's LGBT liaison, with the Commerce Department, with the mayor's office and the council directly, because there is so much opportunity to be had here. And as I mentioned, it's not about taking anything away from anybody. It's about encouraging competition. Right. When there are better businesses growing capacity, competing for city contracts, ultimately that lowers prices for everybody, and that means more money going back into the system for our schools, for helping our police forces, for helping everybody succeed. So we think it's a real economic win for the city to include our businesses. I mean, look, they're already here and working with the biggest job creators and providers in the corporate sector. Allowing them to bring their diversity, their innovation, their job creation opportunity to the city of Philadelphia proper, I think could be a real powerful outcome. And we hope to see a big announcement on that by the time the conference rolls around.
Well, that's one of the reasons why it's great to have conventions like yours. It comes to Philadelphia. It helps to make us even that much of a better city. So I have one more heavy question, and then we can get to fun stuff.
Sure.
So one question, because we are PHLDiversity, and we love to hear it from those who we interview, is, can you describe diversity, or even better, what is your measure of success regarding diversity and inclusion?
Just even a decade ago, the question would have been easily answered by saying, see me, count me, let me to check a box, put someone that looks like me on a poster or an ad, and we'll say we're inclusive. Now it's so much deeper. It's about actual tangible opportunity. It's about seeing someone like me or like you or like anyone we know succeed, pointing to that opportunity model and saying that last remaining glass ceiling is shattered and nobody's going to put another piece of glass on it.
Wow.
It's about being able to reach out and touch someone who has broken those barriers. And thankfully, we're seeing that. Every community's now got a diverse CEO, taking names and saying, I dare you to tell me I didn't build this with my bare hands.
Right.
And we're seeing so much support, whether it's from local government saying we will not retreat from these protections for our communities, whether it's the corporation saying, you can count on us to double and triple our support for you because we know it's the right thing to do and it's good for business. So now diversity and inclusion are tangible. They're about those receipts. We're looking to cash those in, and thankfully we're seeing them in spades.
Fantastic. It's interesting. I recently did an interview with Tiffany Chang Lawson, who is the executive director of Governor Wolf's Commission on Asian Pacific Affairs.
Yeah.
And she described her measure of success when it comes to diversity and inclusion along that example of, being invited to the dance and being asked to dance. But she said to go even a step further to be able to select the music, which I thought was fantastic. The way that she kind of put, it all into perspective about the more I have the ability to contribute, the more the outcome for all is better. So I thought that was great. But now, like I said, we want to talk about some fun stuff.
All right.
So we've got 3 questions. So the first one, is there a fun fact that you can share about Philadelphia?
Other than it's making me gain weight because the food's so good here.
Food is good here.
Fun fact is, we moved here after 10 years in New York. My husband and I just got married in October, and like crazy people, we thought, why not plan a wedding and a move at the same time? And we're now here. My husband is the new meteorologist for NBC 10 Philly. So I hope everyone's watching.
Do we blame him for all the snow?
No, you blame him for all the good weather.
Okay, that's it. All right,
celebrate that. He's a Philly native. He's from Montgomery County. He grew up in the schools here, and I know he's just so happy to be home. So my fun fact is, I'm responsible. It's like Jack Kennedy said, I'm the one that got to accompany Jackie Kennedy to Paris. I'm the one that got to accompany Steve Sost on his triumphant return back to Philadelphia.
Wow. Well, we'll be sure to watch him. All right. So you mentioned food earlier, so let's go to it. What is your favorite restaurant or bar when you're here in Philadelphia?
Oh, don't make me choose. So I know this is a controversial thing, but I think I found my cheesesteak.
Did you? Okay.
I did. It's the one at South and Fourth. The Jim's.
Jim's.
That's my cheesesteak.
Okay. Cool.
I know I'm probably going to get nasty notes on my car because of that, but I found my cheesesteak.
All right, so do you eat it upstairs or downstairs?
I eat it upstairs.
Okay.
I like to make a mess. But man, I'll tell you, we live right in the center of Center City, and the sheer volume of restaurants, and I'm thrilled that they're all mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
The celebration of small business here is so awesome. And the fact that I can go into these restaurants and know that I'm not getting chain food is really special. It's something that, after 10 years in New York, I was watching a few too many, mall food court restaurants pop up on street corners that used to be local shops. Wow. So I'm really excited to see them, that I have so many options. And now that weather's improving, you can sit and eat outside. Come on.
Although it's funny, I did a podcast interview and there was a lot of discussion about the food trucks. So I've had some people who've been just doing all sorts of shout outs about food trucks. All right, so we are the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is such an easy one. But anyway, I'll throw it out to you. What meeting or convention would you like to see come to Philadelphia again and again and again?
Well, the NGLCC conference is always looking for our next home. We're booked through 2021, but that's time to start looking at where we can come back to. I'd love to see, particularly these big business conversations that used to only go to the New Yorks, the DCs, and the San Franciscos of the world because they think that's where the opportunity is. Give Philly that second thought, that second chance, because I think they'd be astonished to see how easy it is to get around, how the infrastructure is world-class here, how that airport, shows other airports around the country how it's done.
That's true.
And I think this is there's just that stigma about being, the New York suburb or, the DC pass through. I think those days are numbered. I think Philly's reputation is sterling and only getting stronger.
I tend to think of Philadelphia being the heart, and New York and DC needs the blood to flow through us to live.
Okay.
That's how I kind of put it.
Absolutely. And, and I'll tell you just.
I was at a medical conference. And
Oh, no, that's a good one. But I'll tell you, even on a practical level, as a New York transplant, and has also spent a lot of time in DC, the price is right. You can live well. You can start a business here. You can create here in a way that I think is cost prohibitive in a lot of other places. And I hope to see a lot of conferences take note of that. You can bring a lot more people and stretch things a lot further and explore the museums and the history and the culture and make that a part of your event in the way that we're going to at the NGLCC conference.
Well, so if you ever, as you pursue your career even further, want to move into the meeting and convention business, I think we'd love to have you work with us over at the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, count me in.
So, Jonathan, it has been my pleasure to speak with you today. Are there any concluding thoughts that you may have?
Well, to anyone listening, if you haven't by now, get your tickets because we sell out every year. And knowing the proximity we have to, the Acela corridor, this is going to be one hot ticket. So NGLCC.org is the place to buy your NGLCC conference tickets. As I said, it is the largest LGBT business event in the planet. But there's also tremendous opportunities for you to learn about how to leverage opportunities with America's biggest corporations, with our government agencies, and just be a stronger, more inclusive and better person by celebrating diversity in your business and seeing how it pays off economic dividends. So we can't wait to see you August 14 to 17 at the Marriott downtown.
Fantastic. Well, thank you once again, Jonathan. And we at the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau are thrilled once again to partner with NGLCC and share insights about the organization and their upcoming convention. And we trust that you've enjoyed today's PHL Diversity podcast and that you'll return for more. We also encourage you to visit our website at www.phldiversity.com to learn more about our programs. And you certainly will have access to the full agenda for the upcoming NGLCC conference. So until next time, this has been Greg DeShields.